Welcome back to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me is former Rams beat reporter, and now he does it for Sports Illustrated as an NFL staff writer, Gilbert Manzano. How are you doing, Gilbert?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to get back into NFL draft mode. And as you know, I was in Las Vegas yesterday for UFC 300. I'll be back in Vegas on Saturday for UFC 300. And then, the week before that, I went to Philadelphia for WrestleMania. So a lot of combat sports this time of year, but I'm trying to get back at the NFL draft. And we're going to be here talking Rams draft needs on offense. And before everything got busy, we talked Rams draft needs on defense last week. So definitely check that out if you haven't done so just yet.
Yeah, we got a lot to get into in this episode. We got some questions. We got an email from Dan Ortiz. We also got a question, Gilbert, from one of our YouTube community section, Payo Time Rams YT. So we'll get to that question as well. And there's a lot going on. I thought I was just talking to you right before we hopped on about it was kind of weird that there's a lot of stuff that happened in the last week. Usually when there's not a lot of stuff going on during the off season, we usually have to do like an episode every other 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And that lets us to kind of have some stuff to talk about. But there's a couple things here and there that we'll get into. Um, you know, Not just what the Rams should do on offense, but yeah, Gilbert. Before let me ask you something. I like asking you a couple questions just because, I know you, as you said, you've been, going around. You've been doing, this. You're doing double duty today. You just got done doing a UFC preview here on on Compas on the B Network, and then you were WWE. So you've been going around. But in terms of the NFL, that's where you get paid to do. So I kind of wanted to ask you in terms of, as Fernando likes to call it, it's weirdo time. I like to call it lion season. Like, how much do you pay attention to it as we're 2 weeks away from the draft? Like, how much do you believe, and how much are you like? How much do I want to believe this story? Like, there's a couple of things that came out the last couple of days where you're just like, do I want to believe it or should I? So what are your recommendations for Rams fans?
Honestly, I will just try to ignore the noise because everybody has a motive or an agenda, and everybody wants to get the player that they want. So it's a bunch of like behind the scenes games. I get annoyed with this time of year because, an example right now, Malik Neighbors. People are saying Malik Neighbors is the best wide receiver over Marvin Harrison Jr. Well, let's not overthink it. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. Come on, like this is this time of year where people are trying to hype it up because people want to hype up Malik Neighbors, and then the opposite is like, well, Malik Neighbors has a lot of off the field baggage. He's a diva. Well, let's ignore that. Okay, he's like a 20-year-old kid, 21. Okay, we all, do things that we're trying to become adults and figure it out. So he's on that path. So the real thing is, we already know he's a really good player,
Right.
and we know he's 21, 20 years old. Like a lot of players, like what was it a couple years ago? People bash, Michael Parsons, and I haven't heard of people about Michael Parsons, the NFL. I know maybe there's question marks about his, is he consistent or a high motor, but for the most part, he's been a excellent player. So it's all about your respective scouting department. The people who get paid the big bucks doing the research, like what do they know? Who are you gonna take a chance on? That's why people get fired. Like Victor, this time of year or in April, for 3 days in April, that's when people get contract extensions or get fired. And in terms of front offices, you better make your roster good for 3 days in April. If you don't do it for 3 days in April, you're probably going to be out in a year or two. I get it. March free agency is important, but when you really want to make it big in the NFL, you find those players in April. And as the Rams did a year ago, they found those players.
Yeah, and honestly, the perfect example, as soon as you said it, the front office that I thought about and coaching staff was the Tennessee Titans when they traded AJ Brown, and how that a front office reacted. You saw the coach, and now they're all gone, like completely gone. So that to your point, Gilbert, you're right.
Yeah, so this time of year it's very critical, and but it's all a game. And I get annoyed because after free agency is long gone, we get bored. We want to know what's going on, and the NFL has this like fascination with being in the news for 24/7. Can I go enjoy WrestleMania? Can I go enjoy UFC? Can we enjoy a March Madness? Can we enjoy the women's tournament as well with Caitlin Clark? Can we, enjoy NBA playoffs? But no, they want to start throwing smoke screens and
Yeah.
like you mentioned, Victor there. So I get annoyed, but I think there's always a cycle. Like we were doing the research, and I think the early part of the NFL draft season is like legit because people are trying to figure out who's good, who's not, and then you keep talking about it, and it's just too much. But then there's always that 1 week before the draft where the news starts feeling like it's accurate again because we're so close to the draft. So I think in a week or so,
Yeah.
that's when you may want to pay attention. But right now, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, it gets a little dangerous.
Yeah, it's like you're feeling, you're trying to do like filler, like kind of like when you're watching a series and you get that filler episode. That's what it feels like right now with the NFL draft. And one last thing I kind of wanted to ask you, just because I was kind of going back into just the way the Rams do things, and one of the things that's always interesting to me under Les Need and Sean McVay, and I don't know if you've noticed, I'm sure you've noticed this, but do they take any player visits? Because I have never seen a player be linked to them. Like, how you hear like the Washington Commanders, you hear the Carolina Panthers, like, oh, this player is visiting that team.
Yeah.
I've never heard, like, as long as I can remember, in the last few years under this regime, like someone being linked to the Rams, and they're so secretive, and maybe that's the secret
Yeah.
sauce.
Yeah, and the Rams like to be in the news a lot, but have you noticed when it comes to the draft or going to the combine, they kind of just work under the radar. So I'm sure they do get a few people coming in. They have some visits, but when you hear about a visit, it's because somebody leaked it to Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport, and also and it's hard. It's not easy to do because the agents want to pump up their draft prospects too or their clients, right? So
Right.
I to answer your question, I would think that for the Rams to be so quiet when it comes to visits, they probably do very little of them. And when they maybe do have some, they probably tell the agent, "Hey, like, can we talk to your client? But can you really just keep it on the low?" It's hard to do that, but I'm sure it's a little bit of both. Like they have some, but not too much because if they had too many, I'm sure you could hear about it all the time when it comes to Twitter. And there's times where like Schefter saying so visited with somebody last week. I'm like, who's this player? But everybody wants their client, so I don't blame the agents for doing that.
Yeah, and I always remember there was the offensive lineman that the Patriots drafted in the first round a couple years ago. And I remember Sean McVay and Les Need were having their press conference because they didn't have
Yeah.
a first round pick. And then they're like, oh, that was a guy on our board and he went in the first round. So, I mean, it just tells you that you just never know who they have on their board. And,
Cole
that's what,
Strange is the
yeah, Cole
player.
Strange. There you go. Yep. So you just never know who team, and credit to the Rams. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Do I know we're a couple weeks out. I don't think we're doing an episode next week, but do you think, the Rams will keep their pick, or do you think they trade either up or down for that pick?
I don't think we hear anything to draft day, and that's when definitely it could be in the card. They could trade up, and they're in an interesting spot because if you're at the 19th pick and maybe you're waiting for somebody that you really want to fall, I've heard GM say like maybe 15 guys or 15 or 20 guys are legit first round prospects, and sometimes it's good to hear GMs and like they don't give you much, but they sometimes like GMs tell you, yeah, on our board is for less if it's maybe 10 first round
Let me know.
picks
Yeah.
or 10 people with first round grades.
I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or your Wi-Fi, but it's cutting in and out. We'll try to do our best as we go here. Um, Let me know if everything is working out on your end, Gilbert, because it might be me that is cutting off here. Um, Let me try to get out and get back on and see if that. All right, I'm back. Can you hear me? Yeah. It seems that Gilbert's Wi-Fi is down, so we're working along as we go, guys. So we appreciate your patience. We'll try to get this squared away. Let's see. And that's the one bad thing about doing a live stream. Sometimes the Wi-Fi goes down, so we've got to work along here. Hopefully, we can get Gilbert back on here. We're trying to work through this as we go, and maybe it's me and trying to figure this out. He has disconnected, so we're gonna try to keep going here. Um, we'll get to some comments here. We got K Day 19. He says Rams on top, and we also have Mike Armenta, who says draft a quarterback, move on from Bennett, too old for a rookie, too short also. So uh, it looks like we have Gilbert back on here. We're gonna try and see if it was me or him that had the bad Wi-Fi. There we go. Can you hear me, sir?
I could hear you, but I can't see you, or you can't
No,
see me.
no, I can
Yeah.
see you.
Okay,
Can you
are we
hear me?
back?
Yeah, we were
So,
back. All right, here we go.
maybe it was me. I don't know.
We'll find out. All right, Gilbert. So as we proceed now, let's go with our your. Actually, let's promote the newsletter. Go ahead and let people know about the newsletter, and I'll get the banner going for us here.
Yeah, while we get this Wi-Fi issue fixed up, I'll do some promos here, and hopefully you can hear me. But go to compasonthebeat.com and go to the home screen, and when you see the shiny gold box appear, type in your email to newsletter. Many of you have already, but if you haven't done so, find the shiny gold box on compasonthebeat.com. Type in your email and you're subscribed to the Compas on the Beat newsletter, and we're gonna talk plenty. When you go to the website, by the way, or
All right. It looks like it looks like we're having technical problems again, Gilbert. Let me see if I can get out and see if this will work. All right, can you hear me, Gilbert? I'm trying to see. If not, we might have to restart this again. Yeah, no, I can't hear you. We should restart it again. Um, yeah, it's not working out. Yeah. How is that, Gilbert? Can you hear me? Yeah, I can't hear you. There's no sound. Wow, that is crazy. We might have to restart this, Gilbert, and start over and do a new stream and see if that works. I'll check my Wi-Fi, but I can't tell if it's you or if it's me. So why don't we head and do another let's start it over if we can figure it out.
Mm.
Oh, that's why. Hello, can you hear me? Hello. No. All right. All right. Let's